All right, so we are now in the second part of lesson 5, driving maneuvers. And just a quick recap, we have been discussing making right turns, left turns, all the steps we need to do before we perform that maneuver, where we need to look, and so on before and while performing that maneuver. We've also considered U-turns and how to successfully and safely perform U-turn maneuvers. And now we're moving on to 2-point turns, okay, and using a driveway to do that. Okay, so I want, rather than read this to you, I'm going to ask you to imagine that you're driving along. So we're in driveways. So let's consider that we are in a residential area. And let's consider that we were on a commercial road, and we realized that we would have to somehow turn around and go in the opposite direction. Okay, we missed our turn or something like that. So we decide we're going to take a right-hand turn or a left-hand turn at a stoplight and go into a residential area in order to turn our car around and get back onto that commercial road. Okay, so here we are, and I'm imagining taking a right-hand turn at the intersection um, and driving down the residential road, looking at all the driveways and looking for one that is going to be the easiest for me to make a 2-point turn. So remember, I'm going to be backing into that driveway. So I'm really considering stuff like, well, one, is there a car in the driveway already? I don't want to go into a driveway with a car in it. I don't want to go into a driveway where the house doesn't look inviting. I don't want to go into a driveway where there's a lot of cars parked along the side of the road that is just going to create more problems for me for seeing down the road. Likewise, I don't want to go into a driveway that has a lot of bushes or trees or even poles or mailboxes that are going to present, extra hazards for me. Okay, so I'm looking for one that's nice and flat and easy to back into, really. Okay, hopefully I find one. If I don't, I'm just trying to minimize the amount of stuff that's just going to make it more challenging for me to do it. Okay, so while I'm doing this, I'm of course always monitoring too what's happening, in front of me and what's happening behind me, especially what's happening behind me, because I'm about to make a pretty strange maneuver. I'm going to back into a driveway in a residential road, something that most drivers don't expect other drivers to do. Okay. So I'm going to really have to manage them. So as I'm moving along and identify my driveway, and let's pretend there's cars behind me. Okay. So I'm going to, before I take my foot off the accelerator, I'm going to put on my indicator. All right. To that I'm going to be going right. Okay. Let's pretend I'm going to back into the driveway going right. All right. And I'm going to put on my indicator to the right. I'm going to take my foot off the accelerator. I'm going to look up into my mirror and make sure that the vehicle behind me is mirroring my speed and maintaining that space cushion. So long as he is, I'm going to pivot my foot and start depressing the brake button, the brake, whatever you call it, pedal, and start bringing my car down to 0 miles per hour. And I want to do it with my fender just beyond that driveway that my target driveway on the right. Once I've done that and I brought my car down to speed, I am probably, in fact, I was going to say I was going to wave him around me, but I don't want to wave him around me because I don't want to be responsible if he comes around late and then has an accident with oncoming traffic. So I'm going to let him stay behind me, the vehicle stay behind me. If he wants to go around me, he can. But I do want to be as quick as I can about showing him what I intend to do, because right now I'm stopped almost in a B position in the road. Uh, Maybe there's oncoming traffic and I have my indicator on. It's gonna be a challenge for him to recognize what I'm doing until I start moving. Okay. So what I'm gonna do after that is I'm gonna put my car in reverse. I'm gonna put it in the reverse gear, and then he's gonna start understanding what I'm doing. Okay. And at that point, he's definitely gonna come to a full stop, so he'll allow me to make my maneuver. Remember, I'm going to be going backwards at this point. Okay, so the front of my vehicle is going to start swinging, and it's going to start swinging. If I'm going to be turning to the right to get into that driveway, backing up, the my vehicle is going to start swinging to the left, and it's going to swing into the opposite lane. So I need to be absolutely clear that there's no oncoming traffic. Otherwise, my front of my vehicle is going to swing into their lane. Okay, that's very, very important to remember. Okay. While I'm doing that, of course, I make my 360 look around my vehicle to make sure that there's no cyclists, there's no children walking out into the road, no jaywalkers, no pedestrians, no one on the sidewalks, and so on. Uh, and then I'm going to put my hand over onto the passenger seat. I'm going to dedicate myself to looking mainly behind me at this point. Okay, over my right hand shoulder. My left hand is on top of the steering wheel, or in the case that I'd have to recall that we're going to try to do this with two hands on the wheel. And with that, I'm probably going to use my camera display a little bit more than I would if I were just using one hand. Okay, so my hand is totally turned as much as I can behind me, moving my shoulders as much as I can behind me so I can get as much of a clear view as I possibly can of backing up, remembering that stuff can come into my field of view, like kids, for example, animals. So I need to be wary of that, and I start to release the brake, right? And the car is going to start to roll. It's going to start to swing, and I'm going to be cutting the wheel to the right because that's the direction I want the car to go into, right, from the middle of the street. Once I see it's that uh, my back window is facing into the driveway, I want to bring the wheel hand to hand so that it straightens out. Okay. At that point, I can definitely go one handed and really look behind me as I back up. And I want to back up slowly using the brake to get into the driveway. Okay. If there's a hill, which there often is, especially in New York State, I'm going to let the car pull itself up that little hill to get into the driveway. That's fine. I'm going to bring my entire car into the driveway so that the nose of the car is not sticking out into the road. Okay. Once I've done that, I can then put my car into park. Okay. And I'll do that first. I'll put in park. I'm going to look around. I'm going to take my indicator off if it hasn't gone off already. I'm going to look around on each side, again, behind me and so on, 360 degrees, making sure there's no pedestrians or any other potential hazards. Then I'm going to put on my indicator to the left. I'm going to put my gear back into drive, take another good 360 look around the car. Okay. I'm going to be looking first to the left, right? See if the traffic is clear. To the right, traffic clear. To the left again for clear traffic. And then I'm going to very gently release the brake again and start moving forward and start rolling. Start using my hands, making a hand over hand turn to get into the lane. I'm going to release the brake completely, allow my hands, allow the wheel to slip through my hands to correct itself, and apply the accelerator. And that is how I make that two-hand or that 2-point turn. Okay, now, having said all that, it does get a little easier if we are going to make a left-handed turn. If we're going to make a left-handed turn and go straight into a driveway so that we're backing out, we're going to treat that like a left-handed turn. We're going to go in the driveway, and then we will be backing out. I prefer to put on the indicator even when I'm backing out. It's fine. I make my 360-degree turn. I have my hand over the passenger seat. I've turned, so I'm looking directly out the back of my car, sweeping my view around to make sure nothing's coming. If the traffic is clear, and I prefer the traffic to be clear, I'm coming both ways, then I will bring my car out into the lane. I'll try to stay in the lane, cutting the wheel to the right as I'm backing out to try to stay only in that lane. But I recognize that it's not always possible depending on how narrow or wide the street is. Once my car is completely out of the driveway, okay, I'm going to start centering it as I'm backing up, start releasing the wheel as I'm backing up, let it correct itself. Then I'm going to bring the car again to a complete stop, put the gear into drive, look in my mirrors, take a look around 360. If it's all clear, then I'm going to release the brake and start applying the accelerator and going. And that's how we're going to make our 2-point turn. Let's continue on. Okay, 3-point turns. 3-point turns are relatively the same as what we talked about when we were talking about making a U-turn on, for example, in the residential area or on a country road. Okay, you start to get in trouble when you're in any other type of environment. Okay, the reason being is that 3-point turns require so many moves and require so much time that you don't want to perform them in places where there's a lot of traffic. Okay, so on country roads, you want a straightaway where there's not a lot of traffic, or in a residential area where, again, there isn't a lot of traffic. We prefer not to stop traffic in a residential area, but it happens. We definitely don't want to be in a situation where we're stopping traffic on a country road. Okay. When we do that, when we're getting ready to make our 3-point turn, we've identified where we want to do it. Okay, so again, we're identifying a place with minimal traffic, long straightaways where drivers and pedestrians can see us from far away. Okay, where there isn't an obstructed view, like a hill or a blind turn or any of that. We use our indicator. Okay, and let's pretend we have a car behind us. Okay. So we use our indicator. We look at the car behind us in our rearview mirror. We take our foot off the accelerator. Is that car behind us reducing his speed? Is he mirroring our deceleration? He should be. As we get closer to the spot that we've identified where we want to make our 3-point turn, we're going to use our brakes and start bringing our car down to speed. Take a look again in the rearview mirror. Is the driver behind us mirroring our deceleration and our braking? He should be. Either that or he's using an indicator to show that he wants to pass us. We pull all the way over to the right-hand side of the road, all the way over next to the curb, as if we're parking along the side of the curb. Okay, and we've gotten there. We're looking around at this point. So we're taking our we're going to take off the indicator at that point. We're going to change the indicator so that it's going the opposite way. So it's turning left now. Okay. Making our 360-degree look around, looking for potential hazards. Okay. Making sure that there is no traffic coming from behind us or in front of us. So that means we're using our mirrors. Okay. We've been monitoring the whole time what the traffic looks like behind us. So we have a pretty good idea of what to expect when we do our smog. So when we know that there's no traffic behind us and there's no traffic coming on, that's when we're going to use our smog, and we're going to look in our, we're going to look in our rear view mirror down to our side view mirror. Okay. And then we're going to look over our shoulder and do our observation in our blind spot. Nothing there. Remember, our foot's on the brake, our indicator showing that we're going to go left. We release the brake if it's clear, turning the wheel at the same time, hand over hand, and allowing the car to slowly go across the road. Okay. Now, before the car comes close to touching the curb on the other side of the road, we're going to bring it back down to 0 miles per hour, right? A total stop. Okay. Now we are something like perpendicular with the traffic going in each direction. And we're looking out, we're doing our 360, making sure there's nothing coming on. Okay. At this point, if traffic comes, you have the right of way at this point. The traffic should come to a full stop and allow you to perform the 3-point turn. And they will know what you're doing. Once you put the car into the reverse gear and start moving a little bit, everybody will know what your intentions are. Okay. That's your next step after looking. You're going to put the car into reverse. Okay. You're going to look behind you and look 360. Keep both hands on the wheel. You're going to do hand over hand steering, but going backwards. You should be looking as best you can over your right hand shoulder, out behind you, looking for anything entering your field of view, because that's a potential hazard. That's a real hazard. Release the brakes, proceed backwards. Okay. Before coming anywhere close to the other side of the road, remember to depress the brakes again, gently. Come to a complete stop. Now use your indicator. Showing left. That's the direction we want to be going. Okay. Start turning the wheels all the way to the left. Change your gear to drive. Do another 360. Look around. Okay. No traffic, no pedestrians, no potential hazards. Release the brake. Start rolling forward. Center your car in the lane. And then apply the accelerator and go. And that is your 3-point turn. Okay. It's a lot of it. You actually will perform this probably around the same speed as I just described it to you. Remember, when you're doing these turns, you want your parents to do them and to comment to you. And it's going to take them practice. It's not easy to comment and do this at the same time. Then you want to comment to them while you're doing it. You want to comment to them, tell them what your next step, go step by step. Tell them what you're going to do next. Find a place where there's going to be no traffic so you can practice this. Okay, and the last thing here is, remember, slow car, fast hands gets the job done. Okay, the slower your car is, the more you can maneuver with it. The faster your car is going, the less maneuverability you have. Okay, let's continue. Okay, checking your understanding for activity number 3. What is the first step when executing a U-turn? Remember what it is? First step we're going to do is use our indicator, because we're pulling over to the right along the side of the road to give us as much space as we possibly can before making our U-turn. Number 2, what does a point refer to when discussing 2 and 3-point turns? A point is our place where we're targeting, right? That we want to go in that direction. That's the place where we know we can start steering straight, or we can put the, once we reach the point, we can put the car into a different gear. What are some other names for a 3-point turn? We also call them a K turn. Okay, 3-point turn, K turn. I'm not sure if I know of any others. Number 4, what is the steering sequence for a 3-point turn? All right, we just went over that. So if you need to do it again, please just hit rewind and take a look again. Okay, we have all that stuff. Yep, K or Y turn. Okay, and there we go. Parallel parking tips. I may actually give this part 3, and I think we will. Okay, so we're going to stop right there. That's going to be my tips for a K turn or a 3-point turn and 2-point turns. And we're going to do part 3, parallel parking tips, in just a minute.